Front Row MMA here at the UK MMA Expo, and I'm fortunate enough to be joined by James Doolan and Joanne Calderwood. So first off, guys, thanks for coming here, especially you only just arrived. We appreciate it.
No problem.
You know, you guys have traveled to be here. It's not a 2-minute journey, it's not a half-hour journey. Why is the UK MMA Expo a good thing?
It's 4 hours drive. It wasn't too bad. We're supporting the sport, and it's really important for that. And we're coming down for tomorrow's seminar, and there's a grappling competition tomorrow as well, so I'm going to compete, and I think it's awesome, really.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I wanted to come down just to catch up with a lot of people that I've not seen in a while. It's kind of cool having, there's going to be a lot of people that kind of keep in touch with but I've not seen since maybe fight shows and stuff. Again, just to support the sport and kind of keep working as a community towards getting the sport more mainstream.
What do you think we have to do as a community? That's a great way of describing it. What do we have to do to help raise the profile of this sport?
I think definitely work together. I think there's been some big kind of jumps forward in the last maybe year with the Safe MMA project. The shows are getting more and more professional. I think as long as we just keep that professionalism and all the main players are kind of working together, it's going to push the sport forward. But hopefully there's no kind of fractions and stuff that happens with other martial arts.
And you said you're coming up for a seminar, and the seminar is on women in combat sports. And the last time we spoke, you were very clear that you didn't like that sort of that separation. Is that? Why? What is it? Does it damage women's MMA?
No, it's just a personal opinion. I've never seen myself. I don't know if it's the way I've been brought up and the way I've been treated in my gym. I've never seen myself as a girl fighter compared to the rest of my teammates who are all guys. I've always seen myself as a fighter, so I know I'm female and stuff, but I just see, when I look at other girls in the sport and stuff, I'll just be looking at them as fighters the same way as I'm looking at the guys, and so they're good fighters, or I don't really like their style or that. It's not because they're girls, and it's the same with the guys. It's not because they're guys. I think it's just personal opinion, but I think it's good, like, because the seminar, there could be girls there that are wanting to ask other girls that do see it as a girls' sport, and them being also girls, so I support them and stuff, and I'll answer their questions and stuff, and but I just don't, it's just my personal opinion. I don't see myself as a female MMA. I see just myself as a fighter, just the same.
I'm in a unique position because obviously I have a couple in front of me, and both do the same thing for them. Both fight. How do I phrase this without sounding a bit of a prude? Were there ever any doubts for you about women's MMA and how big it could become, or do you share a like mind that it's just about the fight? And I'm not trying to get you slapped, I promise you.
I really believe, I think if you stereotype MMA, then I wouldn't really meet the stereotypical kind of image of an MMA guy. I'm pretty quiet and stuff like that. I don't think you can group it. I think one of the great things about MMA is for everyone. And like Joanne was saying, there should be more kids doing it, there should be women doing it. It's such a good activity, it's a healthy activity for people to get involved in. Unfortunately it has had some bad press and stuff in the past, but I'm the same as Joanne. I don't see it as women MMA. I see people are either fighters or they're not fighters, or they can be fighters or they can be fans or whatever, but I don't differentiate between people because of gender or age or background or anything like that.
Personalities, like in MMA there's so many different personalities. I think that's awesome.
The good thing about it, there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, you guys train with the Dinky Ninja Fight Team, Grip House, as well. You guys have been a camp that people have been talking about for a number of years now. It's not just a flash in the pan. You guys have developed a reputation over time. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in it and about the gym and the team itself? And again, as the only female, do you have to work twice as hard, or do you get How does it work?
It's just really for me, for training wise, it's just harder because the guys are a wee bit bigger. So I'm the lightest in the team. That's only my biggest disadvantage. But at the same time, my teammates they're not putting all their power and strength into beating me up a lot. They're letting me work and they're letting me train as just alongside them, and they're not. And they'll understand that I'm smaller than them and stuff. But they also get to work stuff with me that they would maybe not get away with someone their own size and in that kind of competitive environment. So they can work on stuff with me, and everyone's so helpful and stuff. I love my team. And James can tell you the history.
Yeah, the team's not like, we were pretty much doing MMA before it became fashionable. We were, I think, started, I'd competed in amateur MMA in 1999. While I was still predominantly just kickboxing. I'd seen some tapes and thought I knew what I was doing. And then I started travelling into Glasgow, which was about 40 miles. And I was fortunate enough to meet Paul, who went on, and he's obviously one of my best pals now. But the team kind of formulated from that, basically me travelling into Glasgow, and I used to go in there to learn jiu-jitsu, and I'd start going early, and I was coaching Paul some striking, he would coach me jiu-jitsu, and this started like twice a week, and then before I knew it I was in there 5-6 times a week, and then I'd started coaching. I never had a gym or anything. We trained at a couple open jiu-jitsu classes in Glasgow, and we put some mats in Paul's student when he was at Glasgow Uni. We put some mats in his flat. We used to train in there, but some of the guys that came through that flat were crazy. Like Joanne Calderwood used to come over and train, and you obviously know what he's doing now with his guys. And I started travelling into Glasgow to learn jiu-jitsu because it was the closest BJJ school to us. I met Paul there, and we pretty much got on instantly, which is weird because we're totally different. And we've been together pretty much. It sounds like we're in some kind of gay relationship, but we've been together ever since then as like kind of best pals and training partners, and the team's just snowballed for me and Paul and another guy, John Nicholson, hooking up to train in Paul's flat where we had some mats. And before long we started kind of finding other places to train, Highorn Halls, kind of going, it's pretty much the same route as a lot of the other teams that are about now, all the way up to getting our own gym in Glasgow, and then my place for Larkin, Johnson, Dumbarton. And now the team, I think at the last count we had just under 30 pro fighters. The 3 gyms are very successful. The numbers and the classes and that are crazy. And the amount of talent coming at the gyms are mad. I think we're ranked in the kind of team standings in a couple of websites last year as the top team in the UK.
Is it still fair to say that, do you still consider yourself sort of the nucleus of the team, and not just yourself, but yourself and Paul, and or has it grown to be something bigger than that now? We've been very careful to keep that tightness about the team. We kind of joke about the team sometimes, like it's not the same as other teams. Sometimes it feels like you're in a gang. I feel like it's more like you're kind of with my mates and stuff, but that's the thing that makes that team so strong. It's that you're with your pals, you're having fun, but you're working exceptionally hard, and it pays off. And I think you can see that with the kind of, we've got pretty much guys either champions or #1 contenders in every show, and are the most relevant shows in the UK. We've still got the OMAC champion, Stevie Ray just lost the Bama title, Paul's defended his Cage Warriors title a few times, Graham Turner's kind of sitting in position for the Cage Warriors featherweight title, and we've got young guys coming up, Alan Johnson, we've got Martin Delaney holding titles, and Robert Whiteford and stuff like that. So there's guys making a lot of noise there, but they're all under the same roof, and just getting stronger and stronger all the time. And the thing with the Dinkinins as well is, for a while we never had blueprints or systems to follow. Me and Paul were kind of winging it, if we're honest, and we're still being pretty successful. But now we've got, for the mistakes me and Paul's learned, we're taking guys with 2 years training now, and they're absolute killers, whereas before, like, me and Paul had to train for 6, 7, 8 years to get to a certain level, but we've learnt through mistakes and stuff,
and it's not just trial and error in the gym. Where both of us have got like, academic qualifications at university level for in sport and exercise science and sport nutrition and stuff like that as well. So it's everyone's kind of planned and systemised now, whereas before it was we were kind of cowboys a wee bit, to be honest. But so the strength of the team is just going to get better now.
Is there a women's fight team as well, or is Joe it?
There's Joanne, who's a Dinky Ninja. There's no women's division at Dinky Ninja. There's us. And what she says about the teams, she makes it like I'm smaller than these guys. But none of those guys are give her a minute, because as soon as if you take your foot off the ball with her for a minute, you're going to get messed up. Like she wins more rounds than she loses in the gym, and she's fortunate in some ways that we do have a lot of flyweights and bantamweights at our gym, like a large pool of guys. So that's why she doesn't really. It's not like she needs other girls to train with, because she's training with small Scottish midgets.
Is there ever a point though that you would like that? Because I'm presuming
she likes the limelight, being the only girl.
Being a typical boy, you imagine that a friendship between two women is different than two lads being mates. And is that something that you ever consider, or is it just we're all in the same pot together?
She's the same. She sits and tells dirty jokes, and she's not ladylike.
Oh, come on, no way!
I swear to God.
Seriously, give us a joke. You have to give us a joke.
No, the only bad habit I've got is a burp.
She acts like a man. She shits with the door open. She's the same as the rest of the guys.
Still, before the interview is over, you've got to give us a joke. There's no pressure. Where does the Dinky? Is there a plan for expansion? Are you going to get even bigger? Is there a plan? Bring the brand as a brand, as it were, down to the UK, or right now is it about keeping that together so that you guys can all continue to fight?
The main thing is expanding. Like, I just opened up my own place last year, which was another leap forward for the team. We're careful how we expand, but we don't want to dilute anything. We've had a whole bunch of offers for other guys recently when MMA's became very popular about using our name. Can we open up gyms? Can you send us coaches? And we've pretty much vetoed it. We've been like, no, we've spent a long time building that kind of reputation, and we're not going to just kind of pan it off the guys for the sake of making money. So we've got a certain degree of integrity about what we're doing. We are pretty smart enough to realise that we're running a business now as well, like me and Paul and Guy and John, and the importance of branding and stuff like that. So we are careful with that as well. But the main thing for us is we're all kind of doing what we love, and once we start losing that or worrying about kind of standards and stuff like that, it will not be the same.
Your fight team. Stop now! I can't. Have you guys got some fights coming up? Members of the team that you want to talk about quickly now, or the events that we can expect to see at?
We're at Cage Warriors tonight for Dean Riley and Mark Connor are both fighting there. We're going to go and watch that, and then hopefully watch Ronnie Mann and Paul Daly get some big wins tonight. Joanne's back in Victor in October. Her opponent is kind of confirmed, but it's not been announced, so she can't mention it. We're in a similar kind of situation with Stevie Ray has got his first fight coming up with Cage Warriors. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but it's the 70 kilo lightweight tournament, so 2 fights in one night in October, and Graham Turner's going to be on that show as well. They've kind of bandied some names our way in regards to opponents, but nothing's been kind of preset. But we're pretty busy. Like, this is the expo this week, and we've been at shows the last 4 weeks on the bounce every weekend, and then
it's been awesome.
Down here the day, and we're at Cage Warriors tonight. I think we've got a couple of weeks off, and then it's back.
Do you guys ever get take a holiday from MMA?
We've been talking about going on holiday for about 6 years, and every time we think about it, something comes up with a fight or a camp, and
that's our holidays.
I was on holiday in Kansas last week for 6 days, but it's just.
I would feel bad, like. Yeah,
I think some of the guys feel bad, like if we take a holiday, they're not there for the rest of the team and stuff. Like, there is that kind of level of consideration for the rest of the team. Where we really should take a holiday at some point, but and we do go on holiday, we end up looking for somewhere to train. Like the last time I went to New York, the first thing I done was found a gym and stuff like that. And
We can rest when we're retired.
that pretty much go on holidays and stuff when we're too old to fight.
And well, those people, like, we follow you on social media. We always see you guys are out doing stuff, whether it's canoeing, golfing. Is it always something that has a bit of a competitive edge to it? Are you always competing?
Yes.
Yeah, whether it's to do the dishes or
Finish dinner quickest. No. We're both pretty competitive. I try not to be sometimes, but it's natural.
it's just fun.
One, and then now I'm going to stir the pot. Who wins?
An argument, me. Girls always win.
I refuse to lose. So
No, we're pretty laid back like that.
yeah.
Sometimes I let him win, and then.
Is it ever
sometimes-
hard when you're both, and I think we've probably brushed on this on the podcast interviews before, but is it ever difficult when you're both training to, you've got to focus on the fight, you've got to focus on the opponent, and usually it's the partner that suffers, but if you're both in a camp together, is that sometimes an advantage, or is it a disadvantage because you feel kind of separated?
In some ways, we've fought on the same show twice, I think, but round about each other a bunch of times. In some ways, it's a lot easier. Like dieting together is a lot easier, and kind of just going through the same stuff at the same time is a bit easier. But in other ways, it can be pretty tough as well in the house and whatever else. There is a certain degree of pressure with the fights, especially the level Joanne's kind of fighting it now. It's just different for some of the other guys in the team, but she doesn't feel pressure the way I feel it, and so it's got good and bad points really. I find it easier because we're both understanding each other a lot more than some of the guys in the gym have got girlfriends who've never been in the gym, and they don't know what the guy's going through. As we know exactly what's happening with each other at different stages, and it's a bit easier to deal with.
Joe, you just back from Invicta, another win, 7-0 now. It was Norma Center this time, but it was, one opponent, then another, then another. Was that frustrating? Did it change the fight camp at all for you?
It didn't change my fight camp one bit, because obviously I'm there to train and get fighting fit, and it just kind of made it kind of drag out a wee bit. I don't know why, but did kind of feel like I had went through 3 different camps, but just like it doesn't really matter. Whoever I'm fighting, it's always going to be the same. Like James and Paul tailor my fight camp a tiny wee bit, just maybe if they've picked up and stuff when they've studied the opponent and stuff, but that takes like an hour or so just to watch my next opponent and stuff. But it doesn't really bother me as long as I'm there and I get a fight, and it could always be a lot worse. Like Indy Gomes, she was on the same card and she also went through 3 different opponents, and then when she was waiting for the runner to come and get her, then they said the fight was off because our opponent had tripped over a bag and twisted her knee. So I was like, well, at least I get to fight. Like, she went through 3 opponents, and then the third one bloody unluckily twisted her knee, so it can always be a lot worse. And as long as I'm still fighting at the end of the day.
It was a 6-fight contract, I think, so it's the first of the 6. I think I know how you're going to answer this question, only because I follow you when the fans ask it over the social media and what have you. And, is there anybody you'd like to fight next? And in particular, one of our colleagues interviewed Beck Rowdy Hyatt, who made a comment that perhaps was not flattering, probably because she doesn't know you as opposed to anything else. Does that kind of fight interest you because there's a little bit of banter has started, or are you just looking to keep progressing through the ladder? Do you ever want to fight with someone particularly?
With someone with banter, or like
if somebody's saying I'd quite like Joe because is there times that you want to bite for that and go, yeah, I'll take that fight, or are you just happy to?
No, my job as a fighter is to fight whoever Invicta and whoever my management have agreed to. Like, I think that is a job. Like, we shouldn't be we should just fight whoever's in front of us, and all that, like the shit you were saying about her having a comment or that. I don't, like, I'm on social networking and stuff, but I'm not checking up on all these other fighters, seeing what they're saying or that, because I'm just there to keep in contact with my teammates and the fans and that, but I don't really pay attention to the kind of drama, hype or whatever you want to call it.
For you now, is it important that it's always just a step forward? Is it now about working your way towards the title shot and whatever's put in front of you? And as a manager, is that what you want for her?
We have certain goals and stuff that we want Joanne to meet, and until she gets a setback, then she's going to keep progressing towards those goals. She's 3-0 in Victor now. She's been pretty flawless there. In between that, she had a really good performance at Cage Warriors against another tough American girl. And to be honest, she's still to get out of first gear. She's getting by with stuff that she's not even showed a quarter of her potential in other aspects. But that's definitely going to come. The position.
So I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Is that what you feel too? Is it a case that you know you've got a whole lot more to show, or is James looking?
I've got more to show and more to learn, and every day, like, this is my job, so I'm in the gym every day learning new stuff or going over the basics and stuff. But I think with every opponent I face, I can show something else, or do you know what I mean? Like the girls are always different, so they'll always give me something different, and then I'll respond. Not like massively, but
we're pretty careful with Joanne not wanting to do the same stuff all the time, so she gets stereotyped. Like, if you watch our first couple of fights, not a lot of people seen. She was fighting the Lena one. She was on the ground grappling a fair bit, and Lena was expected to run through Joanne, to be honest, and it's kind of known as, I think she's like 6 or 7 armbar wins, and Joanne kind of out grappled her for all day, and then she's shown different stuff with Ashley Cummins, more footwork based stuff, defending against the potentially a threat with takedown and stuff, and then she changed it back up and was quite aggressive with Olivia back at Invicta, and then she's changed it again with boxing with Sally Krumdak, which is something she's not shown before. So we're kind of we're conscious that if you show some different stuff, people are not going to be able to plan for you as easy. Because
if I were to ask you both the same question separately, I'm wondering if I'd get the same answer here. How many fights before a title shot is something that you'd want or consider? Is it 1 fight away? Is it 2 fights away? And I'm just wondering if the answer would be the same or different.
You go first, James.
If they offer it now, then she's good to go for it now. The last time they offered it to Joanne on 4 days' notice, we were done training, and if they went directly to Joanne, which is a good thing about Invicta, they're professional enough to go through the right channels where they went to the management or the coaches, and if you ask a fighter if they want to fight, especially the way Joanne is, she's going to say yes. So when they came to me, before I even spoke to Joanne, I'd already pretty much said no, because her training was done. She'd finished her camp, and basically all we had to do now was travel over there and make weight, and it was for the difference in opponent, it just wasn't enough time. If it had been 2 weeks maybe, it would have been enough time, but it was like 4 days, and Joanne got criticised about that a little bit, man, on some. I know she doesn't read these forums and stuff, but there was people saying that she should have stepped up, and the girl that did step up got a wee bit of praise and stuff like that, but she's made the right career decision now. She's another 3 fights under her belt since then. She's progressing. The best time to fight Joanne would be now, because she's going to get better and better, but right now I think her next fight in Victor's for #1 contender fight. I expect she's going to have to fight the Brazilian girl Claudia Gadela, because I expect she'll be the champion by the time that fight comes round. But if they offered it right now, I would take it in a heartbeat, because she's ready for it now. She would have probably been ready for it the last time, but it was the 4 days' notice. All we had to do was travel.
And does the accolades of being a world champion, do they matter, or is it just the fight that's important to you?
Just the fight, because that scares me about. Well, it doesn't scare me, but when I do get the Invicta belt, I know that I will only be able to fight maybe once or twice. So you'll only really be defending your belt once or twice a year. So, but Invicta's really good that they encourage me to fight Thai and compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions and wrestling and stuff. So it wouldn't be that bad. I think I could fight, keep my competitive going with doing Thai and other
Well, you
things.
kind of led into my next question, which was being contracted to Invicta. You said in the last interview that we did with you, you could be in the cage every week. You could be in there every day fighting. Does it get frustrating to have to wait between the fights? And, is that something that you're prepared for the next 4 or 5 fights? That they're going to be at least 3-4 months apart at minimum?
Yeah. We got the sheet from the commission and I was reading on it. It said suspended for 7 days. I was like gutted.
I think with the levels, if she keeps winning, she's not going to be able to fight every few months. If she drops a couple fights, then maybe. But if you look at the matchmaking at Invicta, they're not going to put her with girls who are 1-0 or 2-0 if possible. They're going to match her. They want to match her with girls with the same number of fights.
And I'll ask one more question, then a quick one for you, James, and then we'll ask you to thank sponsors and what have you. The UFC is obviously the brand by which MMA is still probably globally recognized. Is most fighters we speak to, that's the ambition. Is it for you as well? Do you want to be the first strawweight, UFC women's champion?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, but don't know, just really what I think that's in the future, but not really thinking about it now. I see things, I always say things happen for a reason, and just got to go on with. I can't really be thinking about the UFC or that. I've got a journey to get there first. Obviously now I'm just thinking about my next fight in October, and that's my main goal now. Well, obviously I can have a few days off and then get back into off-season stuff and then get back into fight camp, but this is the next thing on my mind.
And Jen, I think your last fight was March?
Start
March,
April, Cage Warriors, yeah.
And when can we expect to see you back in competition?
After the October fights, the train myself while running fight camps has been a bit of a problem, to be honest. I need to try and get a wee bit more selfish with it, so what I'm planning on doing is getting the next group of fights out the way in October and then finding something for myself for later on. Ideally I'd like to get back and either defend the OMAC title again for about my 4th defence, or when I fought in Bama in December last year, that was a #1 contender fight, so hopefully the guys could get me a fight there for the British title or whatever. It'd be pretty cool. But I'm kind of more focused on coaching now with Joanne and Graham and the rest of the guys, try to push them onto that next level if possible, just for the sake of the whole team. I think once we break through, I feel like we're kind of banging our head in the ceiling a wee bit, trying to maybe get a Scottish guy in the UFC and stuff like that. I've no doubt if they had a division for Joanne's weight, she'd be there just now, because she's doing stuff in that division that none of the other girls are doing. She's kind of fan friendly to watch, but that's kind of the goal for the whole team now, just to try and progress that level.
Well, I'm well aware of how long we've kept you, and I want to thank you so much for your time. But before I let the pair of you go, are there any sponsors or friends or family you'd like to give a shout out to? Please feel free.
Hi, back home. 4 hours up the road. My sponsors, Martial Art Life, who's just done my signature T-shirt that is available. Sandy.
Yeah, where can we get that T-shirt?
martialartlife.com. Mal. Sandy, Thailand.
Sponsors.
So, Physio Effect. Who else, James? Fuck.
Martial Arts Life, Physio Effect, Funky Gums, S&S Nutrition, Devil's Zone, Apparel, the Grip House Gym.
Yeah, never did
Your
Dinky
mum.
Ninja fight team.
For putting up with you.
Again, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to speak, and it's been a pleasure to meet you. And Good luck in the fights coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.